And for me, the most amazing and the most interesting project ever, that I think it should be today a model for the future of Rioja, is a project that started in 1860, again, to react against another crisis of the end of the next century. And it was a project called the Médoc Alavés. We put the label there. I think this is one of the most beautiful labels that you can find in Rioja. This is the label of Médoc Alavés, you see, with the prices in 1864, 65. Beautiful. I think for us it's a very, very important label. What was the Médoc Alavés? So there was a group of intellectuals, again, that they decided that, well, let's improve the wines to go out of the crisis. And it was very, very interesting because, of course, that was led by some intellectuals and aristocrats. And they knew that, again, that in Bordeaux they were doing very fine wines. And so they decided to, first, and the success of this project in the beginning was that not only the producers or the intellectuals that were involved in this project, but they involved the Basque administration. So the Diputación de Álava, they do some meetings, and they had a contact that was the Marquis of Riscal, that he was in exile, he was a liberal, so it was always the liberals, they were doing that kind of things. So he was in exile in Bordeaux, and they did something very amazing, that they brought a maître de chai, a winemaker, or an enologist, that it was amazing. I was reading that, there was from Chateau Lanson, in Margaux, and they paid him 3 times what he was paid in his chateau, and in order to teach and to talk about the fine wines. And so they do something very interesting. They take in every single village of Rioja Alavesa, that is something that we could do, or maybe Andre is doing with his selection, he could do. So they selected landowners that they were sensible enough to decide to work better, and they start producing, let's say, a modern wine, and with the techniques of Médoc. So it's very funny to see the list of the different families in La Bastida, in Samaniego, in Lanciego, in El Ciego, and so they create that group. At the end, you can imagine, a group that has been, pushed by the administration with a beautiful label, very, very, very serious work, and until the fact that no wine could be bottled if a small committee, they were approving the quality of the wine. And sometimes even the people that they were the founders of this project, they had some of the wines that they were not approved, they were not good enough. And of course, they were clever enough to understand that it's important to produce a great wine, but you have to market it. And this is a whole marketing project. Imagine in that time in Spain there was no fine wine, and it's true already, the monopoly of quality was in France, and mainly in Bordeaux. I think for the future, Rioja would be fantastic to try to reproduce this project, to take top producers, because you will see that, I think, for me, Rioja Alavesa, we have an interesting thing that we did maintain this contact with the vineyards, and there is a lot of families that still work with the vineyards, that I think is the future.